फर्क है एक बार सोच के छोड़ देने में और लग के कर दिखाने में। मान लेने में कि जिंदगी ऐसे ही कटेगी और सुबह 4 बजे उठ के सोचने में कि अभी तो बस शुरुआत है। किसी मैगजीन को हाथ में लेने में और उसी मैगजीन के कवर पेज पे होने में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वीआईपी सीट में और उसकी पिछली सीट में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वो जिसका मैदान ही खुला आसमान है वही कल जमीन पर तो था। पूछोगे तो बताएगा वो पंछी कि एक दायरे में सिमटने में और पूरी दुनिया को दायरा बनाने में बस इतना सा फर्क है। इतना कितना है? इतना है या इतना है? जो नापेगा वो जाने कि जहां धरती और आसमान मिलते हैं, नानकुर से दूर, अगर मगर शायद से दूर, वहां भी दोनों में फर्क बस इतना सा है। धरती और 7वें आसमान में फर्क बस इतना सा है। ये एक अंतर प्रेरणा है। ये हमारी, आपकी, हम सब की अंतर प्रेरणा है। एक कदम, एक छलांग, एक बाजी, एक गहरी सांस और एक ललकार खुली हवाओं में कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन फिजाओं के लिए, कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन ऊंचाइयों के लिए जो ऊंची तो बहुत है पर नामुमकिन भी नहीं, क्योंकि मुमकिन और नामुमकिन में बस इतना सा फर्क है। धूप छांव में फर्क बस इतना सा है। तो बस चलिए फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के साथ ये फर्क मिटा देते हैं। फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया।
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this webinar of Business Opportunity Over Chai. Business Opportunity Over Chai presented by the management of Franchise India with an aim to introduce you with new business opportunity every day at 12 o'clock. Today also we have a new business opportunity for all of you into retail industry. But before I'll introduce you with the brand, let me just run you through with the Q&A process. If you have any questions during the webinar, you can type your questions and leave into Q&A box. We will take up all your questions post our presentation. So while we are running you through with the presentation and the brand download, you can keep sharing your queries and questions into the Q&A box and avoid raising your hands. So now let me introduce you with the brand. Our today's brand is Vanity Wagon. They are a natural and organic beauty products retail store and have presence in 14 plus locations in India. They have 380 plus clean personal care brands and they're providing break-even in 20 months. We have Mr. Pratik, the founder and CEO at Vanity Wagon on this panel today, along with Mr. Kunal Verma. He is also from Vanity Wagon and working as a VP in retail. We have Mr. Samat, who will be helping you in understanding the commercials and investment part, and Trisha, who's leading this brand from Franchise India. I would like to welcome all the panelists here on this panel today. And I would like to request Mr. Pratik to take the lead and tell us more about the brand and also about the business opportunity they have to share with our participants. Over to you, Pratik ji.
Thank you, Neha, and thank you for the introduction. Hope everyone's doing well. So it's a pleasure at my end to come and present a business that's so close to our hearts. This is a company that we've been building in the last 5+ years. Before I get into a lot of details about the business, the prospect, and what all is happening in this industry overall, I would like to give you a quick rundown into what is Vanity Wagon. So the concept of Vanity Wagon started in 2017, which is when by we I mean me and my co-founder Nana, who started figuring out what's happening in this beauty industry in India and where are the gaps at that moment. So what we realized is a lot of brands which were coming up in India in the segment of clean beauty, which is natural, organic, Ayurvedic products, were not able to get get the right weightage that they deserved, right? So a lot of platforms, a lot of companies were still valuing international brands like Lakme, L'Oreal, and many more, which is great. But what happens to the new generation of beauty or personal care brands? So we figured there's a big opportunity here. The opportunity in the sense of us coming in and curating, aggregating these brands. The journey started off online. We started off with a digital platform in 2018, with just 10 brands. Today, of course, we are 380 plus, like Neha mentioned. And similarly, our journey in terms of touch points, in terms of business, has evolved a lot in these last 5 years. Like I said, we were a digital platform first, and then we eventually, since the last 2 years, have started expanding offline very aggressively. Couple of reasons for that. I think there's going to be a lot to spoken about it in my presentation today. So we work with brands that classify as clean. Now, what is clean is essentially any product that is devoid of a toxic chemical. So it can have a chemical. You can have a product, a sunscreen that requires a chemical for it to have a cast. You could have a perfume that requires an aerosol, but it should not have a chemical that's harmful for you. And that is defined by the USDA and a lot of international organizations who basically uh, classify what products are good or bad in terms of your skin, in terms of your hair and your body. So that is what defines the core concept of clean beauty. We bring together brands from majorly across India, and then of course we have about 20% brand portfolio from international brands. These brands are curated by us on our platform, and then we make sure we market, grow, and work with these brands in our journey of bringing it to the consumer. So today we transact across about 65 micro categories. When I say micro, shampoo is one, like you see in front of you in hair care, you see a shampoo, serum, conditioner, tonic. These are micro categories. And then in macro, you would see the larger subsets. So personal care as a whole identity adopts a lot of around a lot of products in a person's lifestyle, right from skincare, body care, hair care. You've got mom and baby as a big category that's come up in the last few years more than ever. So earlier you would have only legacy brands like Johnson and Johnson being prevalent in this category. Suddenly you saw the brands like Mama Earth, Mom's Co, and these are new generation brands that came up. We work with all of them, of course. Similarly, makeup, a lot of times you would listen to a lot of customers get to hear this, stakeholders in this industry get to hear that, oh, if you leave your makeup, then it can cause damage to your skin. Similarly, if you use any product that's a little harsh on your skin or your lips or your cheeks or your eyes, it can be damaging. So that is where we come up with brands which are clean and also operate as effectively as your regular mainstream makeup brands. So all of this combined together creates a category portfolio at Vanity. The biggest category today for us continues to be skincare, hair care, and makeup, of course, followed by the rest. Skin, of course, the largest organ, as they say, of a human's body. So it is the most important part, and that's what our customers value us for. So before we go on to what is Vanity Wagon's business look today looking like in terms of where we are, what we are doing, it'll be important to give you a quick rundown into how the industry shapes up. So if you look at internationally, I think so in all the data that prevails, beauty continues to be one of the largest markets. And the reason is everybody's household would feature a lot of beauty in their everyday routine. And it is something that is a non-negotiable, right? So right from your body washes to your face wash to these are basic products. And then of course there are specifics for everybody. So beauty continues to be a very important part of the human journey across the world. And that is why the industry is very, very large. When you see a shift in trend, so you could talk about the history of beauty in India and right from the starting, let's say soaps and shampoos where we started off from, to today. Every few years there is an important trend that prevails, and clean beauty was the trend that prevailed somewhere around 2014-15, which continues to dominate this segment today. A lot of brands that you see going IPOs, such as Mama Earth, are all operating in this segment. Now coming to a general consensus about consumption. So about 80% of cosmetic sales are still coming in from non-luxury goods, which is why we at Vanity value our brands in a certain price point. We ensure we service India today. We don't, yes, we want to build a company with our partners, of course, for an India tomorrow, but But at present, at date, India still continues to operate in this economic segment, and we definitely value that. And hence, you would see a lot of brands that we curate are falling right in the middle of this segment from a clean beauty perspective. So while the overall industry is about $12.6 billion, uh, the clean beauty industry itself is going above about 2 billion today in India, and annually and globally, of course, this is much larger. The reason is the subset of clean beauty is growing faster than the whole beauty market, which is visible in offline and online retail. So, customers, when they go to shop today, online or offline, they want to understand how is the product, is it effective, is it good, is it not? And a lot of brands fail to answer this question, who are mainstream brands. So that is where the brands that we work with come into play. And let me assure you that the number of those brands is not less. So, like we mentioned, 380 is what we have on our platform. Till date, we onboard about 10 to 12 new brands every month. So that's the pace at which this industry overall is booming. And again, I think there are a lot of big markets that are prevailing in India. We are a company based out of North, and of course, we continue to dominate that space. But South India again is a very, very good stronghold for this segment. So it's a market that's spread across the country. Now, this is very interesting for us to see how the entire journey for beauty and personal care has shaped up in the last couple of years. And as you can see in the chart in front of you, the growth has been phenomenal, right from pre-COVID, having strong numbers, to during COVID having further strong numbers because health was very important in those times. So was putting the right products and consuming the right products for everybody. So beauty saw a big upward climb in that 2 year window. And post that, this is translated into, as some call it, revenge buying. So you see a lot of offline retail now picking up. So while the industry continues to build strongly, offline is now growing, if not faster, as fast as the digital space. Just looking at the landscape in terms of how the categories are placed, like I said, skincare is a very, very important category. So we ourselves in our stores, in our digital platform, and also now with our partners, uh, enforce this thought and want at least 40 to 50% of the portfolio to be skincare. One, the reasoning is the multi-use of products. So in skincare, a customer tends to use more products than one, because you have a whole routine going on. Plus, if even if you don't follow a routine, the bare minimum you would do is use a cream and a face wash. Whereas in cosmetics, it's differently comparable. Although cosmetics again is a very, very strong market, but cosmetics is also about choice of a certain color, whereas also it's very dependent on person to person. So cosmetics still continues to be slightly below skincare in terms of growth and consumption. Fragrance, again, a terrific market. So fragrances is a new journey we've started at Vanity about almost about a year back. Today we have about 5 fragrance brands on the platform. We are also importing international brands in this segment this year. So fragrance is a market that's building up, anyways, exists to be, continues to be a big market, but we are also looking at building this with our portfolio brands and of course our partners in time to come. So I think this is where this piece becomes really interesting. So, like I said, Vanity Wagon started off with a digital first only brand. We said, okay, this is the right medium to go and touch customers today because everybody has a smartphone. Everybody likes to use a smartphone to do more than just call or message. They like to shop, they like to explore. And we said, if that is where the market is, then one should start building up from there. So that is where Vanity Wagon started off. But in our journey, we have realized and, of course, worked on with our investors and everybody who's part of the stakeholder community at Vanity Wagon that this market requires more than one touch point, which is why offline is very, very important. So, online, yes, it's terrific. You could get something right at your doorstep within a couple of hours or days today. But what offline market does in beauty is allows the customer to experience, to touch, to understand, to smell, which is unfortunately you can explain it online, but you can't really demonstrate it. So, which is where we said, and we figured that offline is really, really important. Secondly, a lot of our brands are very visible online. So let's take an example here. I think this is the right place to do that. So uh, Minimalist or a Mama Earth. Now, a lot of individuals, I'm sure on the call, would have heard of these brands. When you think of online shopping, it's an effort if you've not tried the brand. So you would want to, let's say, you might not go on the website, you'll check out, and you still would not know whether the product fits your catalog or not. So that is where offline kicks in. So now tomorrow, if you're walking in a high-end retail, or you let's say you're walking in a mall, and you see a product from this brand, now because you have recall, you would immediately want to try the product, which is bare minimum, comes for free. You try the product, now you realize that, oh, they are like what they say online. The cream looks good, or the face wash looks very gentle, it smells really good. And anyways, there's no harm in picking a face wash for, let's say, 300, 400, or 500 rupees. So that is where the journey builds loyalty for a brand, which is the exact first point on this slide, which is all about building brand and loyalty. The second piece is more on the lines of what I said. So 2022 end was when at Vanity we decided to start exploring offline as a business, and I'm happy to say that it's only been upwards for us. We've immediately so we started off with about two locations early 2023, Jan and Feb. We immediately went on to a third in April, and since then I think we've only seen ahead. So today, like mentioned before, we are in about 14 plus locations, which are a mix of shop in shops and self-owned. Again, the idea is to expand the footprint of our brands and ourselves quickly. So while we continue to expand the large retail format, a small retail format is also important to build the brand. And I think this is very important also from a franchising point of view, because the partners benefit from these brand building activities that we have done. So tomorrow, when a store is opened in a retail market or in a neighborhood market of the brand, plus they see plus customers walking, see a glass wall, they see products inside, suddenly they would have a lot of recall because they've seen it either online or offline in one of the top malls or top locations. So that is where all of this adds up to. From a overall model, I think you can never debate the statistics of purchasing are always better when it comes to offline. Average order value is always higher. Your cost of conversion is lower because you are sitting in a space where footfall is one driven by the community around you. So footfall is not only a headache of, let's say, I'm opening a store in the middle of nowhere and suddenly I have to work on getting every person to drop by. So footfall is an incidental. Like I said, customer walking by, sees a product, likes it, wants to walk in and try it, and suddenly it becomes a customer for you. So CAC and ROAS are always higher. When it comes to an AOV model, again, upselling and cross-selling is a very interesting model in beauty and every industry. And it's very easy to upsell and cross-sell when you're working in an offline retail model. Uh, so just going on to a quick slide into how things can look like or have looked like for us in the past. So this is just a snapshot of three locations that we have, which is of course a smaller sized unit. These units are primarily in very, very high-end footfall dominated regions. So you're talking about top malls in New Delhi, top malls in Chandigarh, and the likes of that. And again, we took on this challenge ourselves because we felt these are high rental areas. So we would not want our franchise partners to immediately start worrying about these. But we said, why shouldn't we build the brand first? So I could have done franchising 2 years back, but we said, let's build something, let's understand the market and then go a step further. And I think that's what exactly we did with these models. So again, you see a curation of different brands. What you should be looking at from the images in front of you is how we curate. So you've got, let's say on the left image, you've got skincare placed next to makeup. On the right image, you see a lot of skincare versus again makeup happening. On the top, you see a personal care brand called Power Gummies. We work with them as well, which are clean supplements for your lifestyle. So again, as a category, Vanity Wagon is very strongly placed today, being able to offer our partners brands uh, out of multiple. So you can't keep 380 in a store, but you have the option with us to choose anything you want. If if you feel a certain region requires more products in a certain category, you're more than welcome to pick up those and sort of place them in the shelves, and we help in that journey. So this is a quick map that we've chalked out in terms of where our reach and where our growth has been. I'm happy to say here we've outdone all these metrics. So this is uh, into 23-24, which is the financial year still going on. We're already sitting at 14 locations. The idea is to close the year with about 18. So March is by March we should be about 4 plus. And then of course the model continues to build about 50 odd locations by 2025. Now this gets complemented with franchising as a model, right? So again, why would we want to franchise is because we feel uh, if partnership can accelerate growth, then why should not we look at that model? While we are building our own spaces, we are building our own stores. Uh, there's no harm in bringing in a partner who can parallelly build this journey with us and be a part of this beautiful landscape of beauty. So that's where the entire logic comes through. Now, quickly moving on to a couple of hygiene points and helping you understand how the value prop looks like. So, again, a couple of these I've already mentioned in the lines of what is clean beauty, what are we going to offer you? So, as a company, what we offer you is essentially an opportunity to build a store. Now, in that store, you can house anything from 10 to 380 brands if that can fit. It wouldn't, but ideally, something around 14 to 15 brands is what's the sweet spot. About the size and all, I'll come to the next slide so you would understand a little more there. So one is the products we offer you. Second is the research, the data, the backend that we've done in these 5 years that gets opened up to you. So for example, a partner based in, let's say, Bhopal wants to understand that what products would move there. Now we are a digital platform selling pan India since 5 years. So I would know, okay, so these products are fast moving in your region, whereas these are some you should try it on. So that data comes for free, and of course, it comes as a part of the suite and the partnership that we get into. Similarly, all our strategies are boosting in terms of customer acquisition, in terms of interaction is tech based. So we are a very technology focused company, right from deploying all AI and machine learning in the backend of the website to personalize and convert customers to front end technologies. So at a store level, also in time to come, we would be encouraging a lot of tech friendly products such as a skin analysis, a vending machine for a sampling, and the likes of those. So we are working on each of these models, and these would be opened up to our partners, of course, on a priority basis. And then the last piece, of course, is more about our strategic tie-ups. So the biggest strategic tie-up today for us is Shoppers Stop. We are proud to say that we are a clean beauty partner for Shoppers Stop in India. Shoppers Stop being a public company, one of the largest retail companies in India. Vanity Wagon runs the clean beauty assortment for them. And their trust in us is only because of the expertise we have in this segment. So this is where I was talking about how many brands you could keep and what you could do. So today we are opening an opportunity for our partners to come in two models. One is we would say a smaller model, which is a 300 to a 500 square feet store. Now, the idea to do this store is in high cluster areas, rental costs could be very high, number one. Secondly, it's sometimes difficult to find the right space in a very high footfall area. So those areas, a 300 to a 500 square feet store is ideal to churn out a good revenue and build a business for a partner. Yes, the larger stores, of course, allow you more space in terms of curation, in terms of services, but what smaller stores do is create an effective space for you where you are housing anywhere from about 800 to 900 SKUs in the store level, and you're propelling the growth of beauty in that small segment. So that's where the smaller stores come in. The larger stores are more of experiential stores. So I would say you would have, yes, a larger assortment of products, but also services as an experience, which I will talk about next. Parallelly, what we're also seeing as a model is to allow our partners to fulfill local orders. This is something that we are looking to open up with our partners. Because we are a digital website and we trade online, we get orders pan India. So if a certain order of a certain product comes in from a region which is where you are, then you have the opportunity to fulfill those orders as well, which allows you to build more customers. So this is where it gets interesting in terms of how a unit should be operating. So one, we are looking at a unit to operate in a key metro city or a tier two top city in this phase. Again, the idea is uh, we want to build the brand first for tier one, two, and then of course move it to Bharat, because those segments are very price sensitive. They are very dominant on a certain product that they've heard and seen too much through advertisements. Whereas tier one and tier two are regions which are more acceptable to clean beauty. They're more acceptable to the concept of trying products and buying products that are great for their whole lifestyle and experience, which is why that's the focus area. On a space front, I have spoken a little bit about this. We are right now operating out of malls, which is great because you have high retail, you have high footprint, high footfall and easier conversion. But what we also encourage our partners to look at is any segment or a micro space in a city which is itself dominant in terms of shopping. So you have a lot of examples. If I take an example of New Delhi, you've got markets like Rajouri Garden, you've got Pritampura, you've got markets beyond in North Delhi, Model Town. So you are having a lot of cluster markets that are great in terms of footfall and continue to run very effectively in terms of stores. So this is where the space mix would come in. Uh, and the last piece, of course, like I already spoke about, retail sale would be a primary. So I'll take it on a little slower. So where does the franchise partner make money is, of course, through retail sales, number one. That's the principal model in terms of building the business. The second is what I already mentioned is about online fulfillment. So our orders coming in from a certain region where you are, we will give the opportunity to our partners to fulfill them, which basically encourages you to build brands, and you also automatically get orders from our online push and online marketing that we already do. Thirdly is corporate gifting, a very interesting note here. So, in fact, this is only a couple of days back where one of our store locations we just launched. We were informed that during Diwali they had about three major corporate orders from that location for a certain brand in the clean beauty space. Now, what that means is when you're operating in a city or a town or a space, you are visible as a beauty enterprise. So, similar to a salon, you are also an enterprise that's great when it comes to servicing beauty. Any customer walking in also understands that you have the capability to do gifting, and there are India is a country of seasons. So you've got a lot of seasons coming in right from August till December. In those times, gifting is a very prominent part of our business. And while retail sales continue to build up very well, so retail sales do really well during, let's say, August all the way till December, but gifting also then adds on. Similarly, now there's going to be Holi, so again gifting is going to add on. So in these moments, you are the right person to be in that market, and we will provide all opportunities in terms of packaging, in terms of product fit, and how to curate these gifts and push out is something that we will do for you as a partner, and you in turn will get the benefit by making those orders happen. So that's where gifting essentially works. uh, so I think a lot of this has already been covered, but to give you a quick rundown into how our target audience looks like. So our company and our brands are women and men friendly. So today, men have also evolved tremendously in India in the last, I would say, 10 plus years, where you see a lot of men focusing on consumption of beauty products in the form of creams, moisturizers, aftershave products, and the likes of those. So there are a lot of products that men consume naturally, and then now they've started increasing their penetration. So women and men continue to be are of course the entire focus. In case of mom and baby products, you would also have a new segment opening, which is kids. Similarly, in gifting, like I already mentioned, seasonality comes in, and so does regular gifting in the form of birthdays and, of course, micro events like Valentine's Day. Online shoppers, already mentioned about this. This is the part where we give you orders from our digital store. And yeah, so I think there's a lot that can happen from a unit of a size of 300, 400 square feet. So we make this proposition very space effective, if not cost effective. From a support point of view, we are I would say, a very organized enterprise, because one, we are invested by some of the top investors in the country. We are an enterprise running effectively for 5+ years now. So we make sure our partners get everything they require to understand, run, and build the business, right from the trademarks to inventory stock lists, operations manual. You've got marketing support at every step. We are a aggressive marketing company. So for us to help you understand how marketing needs to happen in your region, how we will partner with you in that segment and build your own space is something that we really value and work upon. Similarly, training comes naturally to us. So because today we are running 14 plus locations, and like I said, about 18 by March, we are effectively training staff on all throughout this journey, includes the back end and front end. So front end is more on the lines of sales, and the back end is more on the lines of operations. So all these training programs are effectively available with us, which we will be providing to our partners. An ongoing support is more on the lines of understanding the data that you have in store, what sells, what is not selling, what is doing really well, which products are moving quicker, how much inventory you need to forecast for a season, what kind of gifts you need to curate, what kind of sales staff do you need, etc., and a lot more. So all this comes in ongoing support. We have a dedicated team for this. Kunal, of course, leads that team. So this support will be available throughout our journey, and of course, time to come. This is more on the lines of, so I think I've spoken a lot about Vanity Wagon and what is the opportunity here, but this is more on the lines of who we would love to partner with. Of course, we don't restrict ourselves to only these categories, but it's great to have this in our investors. So financial bandwidth and appropriate locations is something we will work with our investors. So locations is something we'll work on with our investors, but financial bandwidth is of course important because any retail unit requires one effort financially to physically to make it success. So while we are there to grow that space, but we would still want our partners to be in this journey with us. Similarly, I think young entrepreneurs and corporate employees are again a very, very effective set of individuals because they understand what entrepreneurship and building a business is all about. And I think women entrepreneurs naturally fall in this category. We are a very because of course we have our company has two founders, me and Nana. We value women entrepreneurs a lot. So in that segment, and plus beauty is of course an industry that women find very dear to their heart. So I think it's always more welcoming for us when this category opens up. And I think a similar logic comes in from individuals who have experience in retail markets. So retail markets are, while trading comes out, it looks very natural for a lot of individuals, but I think retail markets have their own way of moving. Like I said, seasonality, you need to experience, you need to understand the statistics required to make a store a success. So not that we expect you to do a course in it, but we are of course there for that. But a basic knowledge of how retail markets operate and how one would go about building a store and doing all of that is always welcoming. So that's where we are. So this is a quick chart into understanding roles and operations, roles and responsibilities, sorry. So as a franchisee partner, you would need to run day-to-day operations, working on the guidelines and the SOPs we have set forth. This is important because only once all of us follow these guidelines and SOPs can we create a unified brand identity. Secondly, cleanliness, hygiene, doing local marketing activities, maintenance of accounts and records. These are all, I would say, very hygiene dominated codes that every store owner or store manager needs to operate. Moving on, I think inventory management is something I already spoke about. While we are there to help you forecast, but you should, you will need to manage your internal inventory. You'll need to manage your current stock in, stock out, and maintenance checks. Training is mandatory. The reason of this is we don't want to leave you in waters that you're not prepared for. It's as simple as that. You're entering into a space which is it's a very big space. Like I said, $3 billion plus, and yet requires one to put an effort to build in that space. So that's why training comes very, very important there. From a brand perspective, we help the franchisee from day one till the absolute end of our journey, which could be in decades to come. So this means right from site selection, licenses, permissions, fit outs, trainings, understanding product fit, conducting marketing. So we anyways do marketing for our own stores digitally and offline, but we would also be doing this with our partners. Similarly, we would be enabling R&D, any new launches like we do. So like I said, every month we're launching about 10 brands. They would get opened up. We are looking at launching three exclusive international brands. Those would also be opened up to our partners. So yeah, so a lot of this has already been spoken. Quickly summarizing this, right from store development till pricing, everything is a support that we will offer you. So right from training, operation, all operational softwares will be provided by us in terms of course, there's a fee and a license for it, but in terms of you don't need to go and fish out, oh, what should be a CRM or what is an accounting software or which one should be all that comes in our purview. Similarly, product planning, we would encourage our partners to work with us in product planning because, like I said, we understand products very well. We understand the movement of inventory, and we would want our partners to understand that from us. Marketing, we are very active in social media. We are very active in PR. We do events and sponsorships also. All of those we would like to pass on to our partners. And any celebrity endorsement that comes through will come in with a partner involvement as well. So what that means is the celebrity that works with Vanity Wagon will in turn be endorsing your store as well. You will get creatives and things for that because it's part of being in Vanity Wagon. This is a quick financial snapshot. I wouldn't want to waste too much or spend too much time on this because I would want Samarth to take it on in just a bit. But this is just a quick snapshot. A franchise fee of 3 lakhs is what we've kept, which is a very minuscule amount. Mostly to understand. This is more around the effort that we put in building this with you. We want your investment to go into your store and go in very effectively. That's why the cost for opening a certain store is not too high. The return is very, very, I would say, aggressive. So you get a 85% annual ROI and a break even, a payback period of about 21 months in tops, which what essentially means is this industry has a very, very fast movement in terms of from the day of launch till break even. So because of course products are high moving, and yeah, so these are just a few product reviews on the platform. You can go on our website anytime and have a look at what Vanity Wagon is. Our social accounts are all active. You can have a look at there and feel free to browse through. And thank you so much for your time. I would just like to show a quick video before I pass on to Samarth to take us through the financials. Just give me 1 second and yes.
Think there's no audio. There is no audio, Prateek. Is there an audio in the video?
There is audio. You can't hear it?
No, we can't hear it.
Oh, no worries. Let me just try to increase the volume. I'll just make it full. Can you hear it now?
Yes. I think again lost. Okay. What store was that?
So this is Select City Walk in Saket. And I'll just show another quick video around events. So this is something I haven't mentioned yet. So we do partner events also where we bring in brands together in a certain high performing space. And this is something that we will continue doing with our franchisee partners also, which is where, let's say, we are operating in a certain region effectively. We would be doing events in those regions where our partners can, of course, come in with the assortment that they have. And of course, benefit from all the work that we are doing in that mall or that region. So this is one event that I'm showcasing, which is DLF Promenade, which happened last year. Just opening it up for you.
It's so exciting. This weekend is going to be so much fun. It's so wonderful to see multiple brands under one roof. I feel this clean beauty is now a thing to do.
So thank you so much. And this is just a gist of everything we do. Of course, half an hour can never be enough to explain a whole business, but happy to take our partners through this entire journey in time to come. And back to you, Samath. I think we can take on the financials now.
Sure. Thank you so much, Pratik, for that. So everyone who's listening over here, what we talked about are two key models that we're looking into. So two different store formats, about 400 square feet of a smaller format and 800 square feet of a bigger format, which is there. So when we look at a franchise-owned, franchise-operated mini store, that's about 400 square feet, and the investment total would be about 29 to 30 lakh rupees that we can see. Out of which, what we see as investment in the fit out and IT and other expenses is about 18 to 19 lakh rupees, which would be there. Franchise fee, as Pratik mentioned, was 3 lakh rupees, which is part of the total investment. And then additional inventory requirement would be about 8 lakh rupees. So overall investment and franchise fee is about 30% of the overall investment that we see. And rest goes into the setup, because nowadays, it's not only about how the products look like, but also the overall experience of the customers, which is there. So the premium experience, right from the setup as in when they enter the store, is something what we focus upon. And yes, the products would always be there to complement and support that as well. So that is the investment that we're looking into. So about 30 lakh rupees, 8 lakh rupees investment into in your inventory, franchise fee about 3 lakh rupees, and rest comes from your fit out, civil, refurbishment, branding, IT's setup, and your initial marketing and other expenses which are there. So when we talk about biggest format, which is 800 square feet, it is about 55 lakh rupees of investment that we can do, where 16 lakh goes into your inventory, 3 lakh rupees again is your franchise fee, and rest goes into your civil and refurbishment IT support, which is there, which is about 25 to 30 lakh rupees that we see as an investment for your fit out. So overall investment about 30 for a smaller model and about 55 for a bigger model. When we look at the overall order value as well, as we are associated with different brands, and there are premium brands as well and clean beauty brands. So what we see as the average order value is about 2,000, 2,100 rupees that we can see per customer, that which is there. And overall margins, typically what we have is about 40% gross margins that you can expect from the products which are there. You have different revenue sources, as Pratik highlighted. So one would be the retail sales at the store, which is very important. There are gifting solutions. So gifting is both part of your retail, there you have your retail product gifting packs options available, and as well as the brand will support you with any corporate gifting solution and opportunities which are there. For a bigger store format, which is 800 square feet, what we can also look into is the services, where we have your skin and hair treatments that we can also do. So that's more of on a beauty side rather than medical side per se. So it's more of a beauty services that we are able to offer in those cases. And what we see as a sale mechanism, because what we have 21 lakhs over a smaller format, anywhere for 1 to 1.5 CR could be the expected revenue that we can get. And for a bigger format, as we start off and then eventually lead to a 5-year cycle, so anywhere from 2 to 3 CR is also the expectations with the product ranges and constant R&D with more and more items and the brands is something that the brand will keep supporting each and every partner. So I'll hand it over to Ms. Sonia for leading the next session and leading to the Q&A box.
Thanks so much, and thank you, Prateek. That was quite extensive and a lot of information that you've passed on to our listeners. And friends, I'd like to also add there is a detailed working that we have done on the entire business model, financials, unit economics, and the criteria and the foundation of that is the current tech stores of Vanity, Wagon, which have been running across some of the locations, including the malls. So we'll be happy to share that in depth. But very quickly, I'll take some questions which I see coming from our audience today. And Prateek, if you can also help us to understand, I think someone did give an overview in terms of what sales are expected. But if you
Right.
can, give a little understanding of, typical unit economics at a level of a store, which means that if I have an inventory of, say, 18 lakhs,
Sure.
typical level of stock, how much would that be at the MRP level? Say I'm 18 lakh stock. So what are the typical margins on the product and what becomes the MRP level on that? And with a sale of 1.5 crores, I assume that we would have an average sale of, say, 12 odd lakhs, 12 to 13 lakhs happening every month for a smaller format. So what would that convert to in terms of your, stock turn? So I think
Okay.
this is initial question which I wanted to perhaps understand. And friends, just to also make it very clear, when you look at any investment in a retail business, your revenue is actually based on the throughput of the sales, based on the stock ratio that you have at the outlet. So one should never compromise on the stock that is inside. So if you look at the stock value at both these locations, the inventory goes up, and that's when the investment goes up. So if you look at your basic investment, that's your capex and franchise fees, but the inventory is primarily your working capital. So when Samarth explained the ROI and what we show also on the presentation, the ROI includes your working capital. Normally, when you look at businesses, the working capital is not a part of the ROI. So treat these two as different components, the capex being one and the inventory that you keep is part of your working capital. So we like to understand, Prateek, if you can just help us to gather some insights of, running unit economics, margin, stock turnover. I'm sure that will answer some of the questions which I see coming from our audience.
Sure, absolutely. And I think so this is coming on what Samarth was mentioning firstly about so your revenue coming in, right? So I think it's interesting. You rightly put that retail stores, one needs to look at the inventory from a very important standpoint. So it's sometimes visible or it's sometimes a feeling that you keep only adequate inventory for, let's say, 15 days or 20 days, but that does not turn out to be favorable for a store. So on an average, we are keeping inventory of easily about 45 days in each of our stores, bare minimum. What that translates into is when you keep inventory for a 45-day window, it can never happen in a retail unit that everything is sold off on the 40th day. But what it allows you to do is it allows you to create sale opportunities for those 45 days in the interim of which you would be placing new purchase orders. That is what we do with allocations. Giving you a quick sale number in terms of how the margin all works out. So right now from a 100 square feet location that we are doing in one of the top malls is we're doing about close to 10 lakhs a month. Now this 10 lakhs translates into about 10,000 per square feet for a month, which is a very high retail
Yes.
footprint. Again, that is high because of the footfall that creates around it, right? So, like I mentioned, location is a very, very key factor in understanding retail, and that is where we would be very much walk hand in hand with our partners and make sure they get the right location. So now, just quickly coming back to the numbers. So, the sale of, let's say, let's assume a 10 lakh sale a month, the partner would be making about 4 lakhs from that as gross profit, because COGS as net profit rather, because COGS would get removed
40%.
from it. Yes. So 40% is the margin that the partner holds. Now, this is more of a month-on-month accounting. In the real world, it translates differently because once you've done the capex initially on your inventory, once you've bought inventory of 20 lakhs, the 10 lakhs that you earn is one to fund your future purchase orders, and also I would say a cost that an income that you can push towards your fixed costs. So let's say your rental, your salaries, and any other fixed costs, electricals and fitments, etc. So Once the store is up and running, most of the costs come in from day-to-day operations. You would have costs in terms of one, the rental. So we encourage, if you have our own space in a high footprint area, then that's fabulous. If you don't, then we would encourage you to look at rent as a balance. So not to get too aggressive with the rentals, not to go for rentals of 20, 30 lakhs a month. Look at a good rental in a good space. We would help you for that. That's your one of your fixed costs. Then your fixed costs come in the form of your salaries and your any electrical expenditure plus a software expense, which is very, very minimal, which is around the softwares that you use for running your operations and business. Uh, so ideally, if you net off everything, so I think that's the logic of break even in about 19, 20 months, is that your capex also once included in your financials would get set off by the end of your 21-month window. Again, the opportunity is fairly large. We have locations that are doing uh, upward sales of even 10 lakhs a month, which is attributable again to the kind of curation, the brands, the products you have. And I think there are some interesting questions that have come up. One
I'll
of
take
which,
it up, Pratik, for
yeah,
you. And if you can also, before I take that, if you can also advise what is the ideal rent to sales ratio, because higher the rentals, especially locations like City Select, because these are very prime locations. While your rentals are high, your sales throughput is also very high, right? So with 100 square feet, you say you're doing some of the highest throughput in locations like these. So what is the ideal rent to sales ratio that you would recommend for a franchisee?
right. So I think for a franchisee, we would definitely recommend somewhere close to about a 1:4 or 1:5, not anywhere south of that, because as a company-owned model, we can still cover up the rentals higher than that. But
Mhm.
like I said, Select City Walk for us. But yeah, even in Select City Walk, with the margins that we're offering to our franchisee partners, which is 40%, it's phenomenal. And I think it's very easy to break even because 40% otherwise. So on an average, if you want to understand the metrics, brands get about 70 to 80% margin on every product sold. And we are offering 40% to our partners on the stock that they pick up. So again, I think 1:5 is a good rent to sales ratio that they should follow. It's a norm that we sort of adapt in our system, but yeah, happy to look at case to case basis depending on, of course, where the stores are.
We can take a question which is very important. I'm sure others would also benefit on that with respect to the inventory. And this is a question from Ash. What happens to the unsold inventory? You might have a
Sure.
stock which might be slow, moving, or it
Hmm.
might not sell. So is that something that we replace or give a franchise partner a credit note against the inventory which is not moving?
Sure. So the unsold inventory. So I think inventory is of course a very important part. Why I have been reiterating about the fact that we will help our partners choose inventory and choose products and brands, and of course enable them to understand the data, is because we would one not want you to have too much unsold inventory at the end of any period.
Hmm.
Now, still, of course, it's retail, right? So you would have some unsold inventory. In this line of business, usually shelf life hovers from anywhere from 15 month to a 36-month window. So a product supplied to you today would be expiring in about 15 months, or let's assume 2 months of supply chain. So about 13 months or beyond. So ideally, unsold inventory will only prevail after the first 2 or 3 months,
Hmm.
maybe even further ahead of that. Now, if it prevails, we have at Vanity Wagon a lot of avenues to help make sure that that inventory does not become too much of a headache for you, which is essentially around the model of us. We will be opening up that inventory 100% on our digital platforms. In that case, we will be removing the restriction of location from your fulfillment category. So what that essentially means is, uh, for online fulfillment, I think there's a question around that also. What is the criteria for
Yes.
online order fulfillment? So we keep a criteria of a 30-kilometer diameter, but what that does not apply to is unsold inventory. So in case of unsold inventory, because we have a digital platform and we are moving inventory from our warehousing day in and day out, we would be enhancing that region and rather giving you the access to a lot of regions which are ordering those products. So it's actually beneficial to the franchisee partner overall, because we would never be allowing them to have inventory that doesn't move. So what I'll just repeat what I said. So essentially, every unsold inventory will be pushed by us digitally. And yet, even after that, if products are nearing expiry, then we are happy to, then we do credit notes with brands as well. And we would keep the same arrangement with the franchise partners. So we would be selling sending that inventory back, but it's towards nearer to the expiry, which is about 4 months or 3 months prior to the expiry date. But that is a 10-month horizon bare minimum. Most products are 2 years plus in terms of their expiry. So you would not have too much unsold inventory. And then there is a second part of marketing and push in terms of
Correct.
in-store activations, services.
Promotions.
If a certain product can fit into a service, we would encourage that service to be pushed a little more, incentivize customers to purchase those products. And incentives come jointly from Vanity Wagon as an entity also. And yet the store level also incentives
Correct.
can be provided. So this is what we usually operate in terms of inventory.
Helpful. And I see a question from Mr. Dinesh Mongia. And his question is, do we have some brands which are exclusively associated with us? You did mention about 350 companies that we are currently associated
Working
with.
with, yes.
Yes.
So about close to about 8% of our brands today are exclusive with us, which also includes brands that we are importing. So any brand that Vanity Wagon imports, we become the exclusive partners by default. That's how the law in India operates. And those brands would be accessible and open and available to our partners right from the launch stage. Of course, then depends on the terms we have with that brand. But yes, we have about 8% of brands which are exclusive. Uh, Besides brand exclusivity, we also do product exclusivity, which is, let's take an example of Mamaearth in this case. If they are launching a new line of products, then we also participate with brands to launch that particular line for, let's say, a period of 3 months. So while the brand may be available at 100 more locations, but those set of products, let's say 5, 6, or whatever covers in terms of a line, would be available with us only for the first 3 months. So these exclusivity
All right.
deals also work with us.
Okay. Helpful. And the question again comes on the shop and shop because the
Sure.
model that we are kind of discussing is a EBO or a small kiosk. Is there an opportunity for somebody to partner also on a shop and shop? And I remember, Pratik, last time we spoke, you did talk about the association with Shoppers Stop. Is there
Right.
any opportunity which a franchise partner can get to any of these locations or otherwise outside Shoppers Stop?
Sure. So, shop in shop as a model today, we are building it internally, and the reason of that is because there is a risk involved with the shop in shop in a lot of cases. Because one, customers are shared, right? So, shop in
Sure.
shop means you're operating inside somebody else's store,
Mhm.
which means you are at some level answerable to that entity. So, it's a minuscule model in the sense of operating as one unit, which is why we have yet not opened it up to franchisee partners, because we said we don't want a, a unit operated by a franchisee partner that if turns out to be ineffective, there is no fallback.
Correct.
Which is why, because as a company, we can operate 25, 30 locations, because if two locations are slightly underperforming, we cover up with the others. But for our partners, we want to make sure that the location they start off with, of course, we would encourage a partner to open 5, 6, 10 stores in future. But when they're operating the first store or the second store, we would want them to effectively make the right numbers from those stores, which is why I think so shop and shop today as an option, we would not be able to extend. But yes, our plans in the next 3 years also include large store formats for Vanity Wagon, wherein then we would be encouraging shop and shops to come in. But there is still about easily about 12 to 15-month horizon for that to happen.
Wonderful. Pratik, I'll take one last question. And Dinesh, your question is with respect to the intelligence of the inventory. And
Sure.
I would like to maybe, Pratik, you can add, the company has the intelligence on what actually moves. And based on the location that you would opt for, the company would give their intelligence of the fast moving products or the demand, through their channels, omni-channel online. So that intelligence would definitely come to you. You want to add on to that, Pratik?
Yeah, no, I think you've absolutely put it in the most perfect way, and I think this is what it is. So, because where our intelligence comes from is, so I'll give you an example here. So, when a brand sells, if a brand has a website, a brand has a store, their customers are restricted to only that brand. When a marketplace has data, the marketplace has data regarding multiple categories. So, our data sets are multiples. We can tell you which category moves in a certain region, which product moves in a certain region. Similarly, which brand moves more. Okay, we know, let's say starting May, April onwards till about July, sunscreen is the fastest selling product in your region, and things like these. So these are data sets that are available with us. Yes, you will be getting, to answer your question quickly, you will be getting data sets from us depending on your location, and that is what we are here for, to make your store a success. And definitely we would be there to provide all that data and enable you to forecast your inventory in that sense.
Okay, thank you so much, Prateek, and thank you, friends, for being with us. And like I mentioned, there is a working that we have done on the entire unit economics. We'll be happy to share that with you. And if you are keen to discuss further, please reach out to us on the hotline number. But having said that, I would definitely recommend that you come and experience the locations which Vanity Wagon is currently operating out of, and that would give you complete understanding on the product, the market. And I think there's nothing better to experience the business than to see the financial business model. So our teams at Franchise India would work with you. We have Trisha, who's actually leading the entire project, and she will get in touch with everybody who's shown interest or participated on the webinar, including the audience which is also watching us live. And before we close, Prateek, you want to give a message to everybody who's listening to you?
Yes, and I think it's a very interesting space overall. The industry is great. I think beauty has always been I think a quick thing I saw a couple of days back is the number of international brands that are putting capital in beauty in India. So every day, if you walk into a tier 1 or tier 2 big mall or big store, you'll see almost the entire ground floor is beauty. So which is more of an indication to you to understand where beauty is. And yes, I think we are building one of the largest corporations that we want to build through in the next 10 years. So you being a partner with us would always be a welcoming thought and a support for us. So happy to help out in any way possible.
Absolutely. And also the ground floors the real estate on the ground floor is more expensive, and beauty is one category which gives you a very high throughput. From the same space, maybe a food outlet does not mint out, or the throughput is not as much as because the APCs are larger and higher ticket in terms of beauty as a segment. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Prateek. I'll request Neha if you want to take over for your concluding remarks. And one last thing, Prateek, if you want to also mention the cities that you're currently focusing on. I think this is a question which I also missed out. It is coming from one of our friends, Ash, on the call.
Sure, absolutely. So the locations for us, we are looking at North India as a larger unit, and of course extending that into UP and Uttarakhand. So why we are looking at this unit is because we are also operating a lot of locations in these spaces, and they continue to perform well for us. We would want to expand out of this footprint, so you can say Delhi upwards, and then of course extend that footprint downwards in the near future. So that's what the location map looks for us. Like I mentioned, tier 2, tier 1 is what we are targeting in looking at the whole investment versus return.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia, for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prateek. Thank you, all the panelists. Thanks for the wonderful brief over brand. Guys, the contact details of our hotline number is already mentioned into the chat window. You can reach out to us for one-to-one discussion. Also, our team is going to get in touch with you within a day or two. Monday, we are coming up with a new business opportunity for all of you, as we are committed to share a new business opportunity every day at 12 o'clock. Monday, we are going to share an award-winning play school and daycare brand with over 16 years of successful operations, which is Climbing Feet Munchins. Their team of trained and professional ensure top-notch education and care for little ones. To know more details about this brand and to explore the opportunity, please join us Monday at sharp 12 p.m. The registration link is already being shared into the chat window. You can click on that link and you can get yourself registered in advance. And join us on Monday sharp 12. I hope that you all will have a wonderful weekend ahead. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everyone.